Winning cures everything. Now for your hosts, Gary and Chris.
Welcome in. Winning cures everything. This is the Monday, March 23rd edition of the show. On today's show, we've got Mr. Zach Myers from the band Shinedown on with us to discuss the crazy events that are going on in this country and around the world. And then we're also going to talk some sports topics because we had some pretty big news happen today. First things first, the show brought to you by Tunica, Mississippi, the South's premier sports gambling destination. They have got 6 incredible sports books that are not currently open because the Mississippi Gaming Commission shut down every casino in the state. So, you can always find more information about them, though, over at tunicatravel.com. They will let you know when things are opening back up, et cetera, et cetera. You can find us over at winningcureseverything.com. All of our picks, previews, podcasts, videos, social media platforms. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Share out the show. Make sure you are subscribed, whether by podcast or YouTube or Facebook, et cetera. You can find Zach online on Twitter at ZMyersOfficial. That's the same thing on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. You can also find his band, Shinedown.com is the website for that. Or you can just go, turn on any rock station basically around the entire country. So,
I hope.
we hope so. Let's go ahead and fire in. First topic up, the Olympics officially postponed. And everybody likes to make the joke because the guy's name is Dick Pound, which is maybe one of the most incredible names in all of sports, other than who's the quarterback, Chris, at, was it USC or somewhere else, where his dad or his granddad was named Dick Hammer?
I don't remember.
But you remember that,
we
right?
talked about it at some point in time, but I don't remember.
It doesn't get much better than Dick
name.
Pound or Dick Hammer. So the Olympics officially postponed to 2021. Thoughts? Anybody want to jump in here? Because I don't even know what to think, because I don't know how you postpone something a year and keep everything intact the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of crazy to think about, the fact that the world's largest sporting event, I guess, as a whole, other than the Super Bowl, you know what I mean, like getting postponed. Especially, you got to think about Olympic athletes and what they go through to train, like for this specific date, and then you push it back a year.
Oh yeah,
like, I don't know. That seems a little crazy to me.
I'm curious if a lot of this has to do with the fact that they can't, like, some of them cannot train right now.
They can't train.
Yeah.
So
many of these people are not multimillionaires yet, and they were hoping for the fame of the Olympics to put them to that point, and they train in training facilities that are public a lot of times, and those things are closed. They don't have access. I mean, they've got private coaches and they've got private facilities, but there's still facilities that are in many states locked down. Yeah,
it's really difficult. Like, I'm curious how the television stuff is going to go, because I mean, they plan out some of this stuff years in advance.
Oh, NBC plans it out. Yeah, not just years in advance, 4 or 5 years in advance. They have the TV deal worked out before the next Olympics even gets there. So,
and that's just the U.S. though. I mean, think about globally. Like, yeah,
but in our world, we care about the NBC. What are they going to have on TV during the months of the Olympics now?
Oh yeah, that's if the
I mean, right now everybody's having the same problem, right?
Yeah.
Like, we should be watching, March Madness and it covering television for, this entire month, and then getting into the NBA playoffs after that, and it's not, and we're just finding other stuff to put on TV.
Yeah. I'll be curious to see what ends up happening. If the Kentucky Derby was smart, they would have waited just a little bit to see what happens with this and maybe pushed it instead of competing on the first full weekend of college football, which we don't even know that that's going to happen. But
yeah, I think they're betting that Labor Day is still going to be a good day by then, but college football won't be ready by then.
Yeah, you're probably right.
They could own television on a great weekend if they're lucky.
Zach, you ever been to the Kentucky Derby?
I have been. It's a very weird elitist event to go to and attend. And no one really cares about what's happening. It's weird. It's almost like being courtside at like an NBA game. Like, no one really,
nobody cares about the game. Like,
nobody cares about the game. It's like, so it's very strange to go to, and you got to wear a hat, and even men mostly wear hats, and it's really about what kind of hat you wear. It's very strange.
Chris wears a fedora regularly. Well, not regularly.
I don't wear a fedora at all.
What is it? It's not a fedora.
It's like a driving cap. It's like it's not quite like a Boston style Scully, but it's kind of
I'm
in
wearing
that realm.
those. I mean, we've all been guilty. I wear. I have a bunch of Bailey hats that I wear. They're not. I wouldn't call them a fedora because fedoras are deeper and this is more shallow.
Yeah, fedora is a specific style of hat.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Let's see. I don't know the first thing about
all
this.
shoes are Jordans like that.
Yeah.
All
Which
sneakers.
we all know isn't true.
True. Very true. Zach knows all about this. Let's move into topic number 2. The Panthers signed P.J. Walker from the XFL. If I'm not mistaken, he's the 3rd guy to be signed from the XFL to the NFL. And this works out well because Matt Rule obviously coached Walker when he was at Temple. Kyle Allen was almost immediately traded to the Redskins to hook up with former coach Ron Rivera. But Chris, tell me about this. What do we make out of this? Is this worth even talking about?
Well, I think they're going to give him a training camp. I think they're going to let him compete with Will Greer for the backup spot. And if he beats out Will, then, great. But I don't know that there's a guarantee here for anything other than he's got a familiarity. He wants to give a kid that he coached a shot. And that's what sports are all about is you got an opportunity. If you can show up and you can shine whenever training camp happens, then you can change your life. And playing behind somebody who we all are kind of worried, can he make it through a 16-game season? I think that backup role is pretty important.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I think that backup role especially for the Panthers right now and the weird way that all that went down, like that's an important role right now, especially like you said, making sure this dude can make it through 16 games that's a lot.
Yeah. No, it certainly is. So we know that they signed Teddy Bridgewater. We still don't know what's up with his. I mean, obviously he's got an injury history, so the backup role is going to be pretty significant there, I think.
Yeah. I mean, he's healthy right now, and he was healthy all the last 2 years. Last year got a lot of playing time with Drew Brees going down. He lasted those 6 games, 8 games, however many it was.
Yeah, I think it was
everybody's healthy till they ain't.
Yep.
That's right. That's right. We're all day to day, and that's the most important thing to worry
especially in the game of football, and especially quarterbacks, as we've seen. Especially, I feel like in the last 4 years, even with the rules changing and you going a lot softer on quarterbacks, even though quarterbacks are still getting injured. I feel like it could just be me, but I feel like I've seen quarterbacks get injured more in the last 5 years than since I started watching football.
Lately it's been older guys have really started. Breeze got hurt, Rodgers has been hurt, Ben Roethlisberger's hurt. But we haven't seen Bridgewater's injury was so flukish. I mean, he was jogging off the sidelines in a practice, and his knee just blew up. They just said it exploded.
Yeah.
All his ligaments and everything was just.
That was a freak thing too, man. Because you got to think he almost lost his leg jogging off the field. I think that's a once in a lifetime,
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how well some of the medicals are. Gary and I on the show in the past, I've questioned the medical staff at Washington ridiculously because there can't be a coincidence that one team has injury year after year after year after year after year, and nobody else has the plague that they have. Did the medical staff, ever check to see, is there anything going on in there? I don't know, but that's way above my pedigree of knowing about the human body, how it works. I'm questioning people that are far more intelligent than me.
Well, all right, so we're talking about quarterbacks, so let's go on and move into topic 3 before we start grilling Zach on everything that's happening nowadays.
Great.
The Patriots quarterback situation. They signed Brian Hoyer. This is his 3rd stint with the Patriots, right, Chris?
Yeah, there's no question. At some point in time, they were going to get Hoyer and Jacoby Brissett were both on the Colts. There's no way the Colts were going to carry all 3 quarterbacks. And so I think, the Patriots were just going to pick up whoever got let go, which we all assumed would be Hoyer.
Yeah.
And they picked him right up. Yeah. He knows that system. He knows Josh McDaniels. He knows what Bill Belichick expects. He's an adult in the room. I think he's going to compete with Stidham for the job, and there's a really good shot he could win it. And,
Well, I mean, he knows Bill's system. He knows McDaniel's system. He understands what's going on in that spot, and he's a veteran. So, him and Stidham and then Cody Kessler, we both assume, I guess, that Kessler will be gone at some point.
I don't know Bill Belichick to ever carry 3 quarterbacks. He carried when roster size and roster limits are so restrictive. He carried 3 quarterbacks when Jacoby Garoppolo and Tom were there for, I know at least 1 year, it might have been 2, but that was before we kind of knew Tom's plans, and everybody just assumed, oh, he's 40 years old when he turns 40. Like, he's going to retire after this year. And every year we kind of thought he's going to retire. And then finally he was like, I'm going to play till I'm 45, 46. And we're like, okay, now we have to reevaluate everything. And so they immediately trade Jacoby away, overnight. And then that's also the same year they got rid of Garoppolo and found another backup. But it's just one of those things where he's never been one to use resources on something that he doesn't think is ever going to play. I don't think Kessler's going to make the cut if that happens.
I think you're probably right there. Zach, you know anything about the Patriots? You got any buddies that play for them?
Yeah, no, I don't have any buddies that play for them. But no, I follow football like anybody else, and I watch the trades happen and I watch the signings happen. Especially in the off season, it's been as soon as they got the CBA approved, like all these signings started happening. It was crazy. But I think I'm kind of with you. I've never known Belichick to carry 3 quarterbacks, and if he did, it was like a practice squad quarterback that wasn't getting paid anything. And if they had the chance to go be a starter on the other team, they probably would have been there in the first place. But yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see Brian Hoyer, even because veteran can be a very loose term. You know what I mean? As far as
that's true.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you're a veteran, but are you a winner? You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of the thing. So I'm interested to see what you think, because you're like a Patriots fan.
Yeah. So I think, and I've made this clear to Gary, and I think this year for the Patriots is going to be boring football that television is going to hate. But I think they're going to compete. I think they're going to build it all on defense. I think they've signed 2 fullbacks. They are going to run the football. They're going to don't make mistakes. When you throw the ball, be safe with the football. And I think they're going to slow these games down. You're going to see hour-and-a-half football games that are just going to tick, 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 tick all the way down. It is going to be – I equated it to the group of friends that Gary and I are in a group text with of this is going to be Spurs-Pistons finals, all right? Everybody in the league is going to hate it, but I think it's going to win because nobody's playing ball that way. And I also think, hey, that's our only way to beat Mahomes and Lamar Jackson in this conference is to keep their butts on the sidelines and make them frustrated because they don't get but 27 snaps a game. And just make
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that because, like, the Spurs reference, to me, when you have a coach like that who plays a completely different brand and can adjust to whatever is happening, like, that's why I've always loved Popovich. It's like I've always hated the Spurs because I'm a Grizzlies fan, obviously, but it's like I love to watch the Spurs play basketball because it is the most pure form basketball with an offense that's running. As good as the Grizzlies have been this year and better than a lot of people expected, we're not like running any plays.
Yeah,
we're just like out there. We're just like out there.
Dudes be dudes, man.
Letting talent be talent. But if you watch Popovich, it's like he is a trainer of basketball players. So I'm interested to see the Belichick thing. My other question for you would be, how long do you think, now that Brady's gone, another year for Belichick? 2, maybe?
Oh, no. I think Bill's
going to
he's
in it? You okay?
Yeah. Right. No, I think he's in. I think he wants to win a title without Tom. I think he wants really bad. Do it. Yeah. Just to say he did it. And I'll tell you the other thing. I know this is crazy. I've been driving all the guys in all the group texts I'm in talking sports with crazy with this. The Deshaun Watson thing, I think, is going to be a thing, all right? First, there was a joke about, Deshaun Watson will be a Patriot. Right now, there's betting boards. So Vegas is trying to come up with anything they can get people to bet on right now because they don't have sports. And one of the things is where will Deshaun Watson play football next year? Because after this year, he'll be an unrestricted free agent. And the number one odds are the New England Patriots, right? Well, today, Deshaun Watson tweeted out I don't even know what's going on in this system anymore.
It's rap lyrics. Yeah, but I don't know who's playing on the other team or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know anything, and talking about how he's just not very uncertain and he feels very uneasy. The next 9 replies are all Patriots fans just tweeting Bill Belichick marching in to come get him, picking on the phone. I went through. Deshaun Watson liked all of those tweets. Didn't like any of the rest of them. I was like, oh my God, this is happening.
Man.
if he becomes a Patriot, I will go ecstatic, and I will completely change what I thought about them being boring and running the old 80s, 90s offenses.
I love that social media makes us read into things so much. You know what I mean? Like if if you follow Bleacher Report, it's just always like, oh, so and so unfollowed blank. Like, who gives a shit? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so funny. It's so funny to watch. Like, but it's funny if he liked all the Patriots tweets and didn't like any other tweet. That's definitely it. My favorite thing about this whole situation is like the fact that like the B and C squad players on the Buccaneers are going to be like, we have TV games this year.
Oh yeah,
no one cared.
National TV.
When was the last time you watched a Bucs game, dude?
Oh no, yeah, you had to have the Sunday ticket, and you had to have like a fantasy guy going.
Oh yeah,
and that's
even
the only
Sunday,
reason you're there. That's it.
Even Sunday ticket probably didn't even play. It was like you had to like live in like within an 8-mile radius of Tampa.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Even then, you're probably getting
games,
Jacksonville games.
Oh yeah,
yeah. You're still probably watching the Jaguars. It's like
yeah,
you don't watch you don't watch Jameis Winston be the defensive player of the year as a quarterback.
we were pulling all year for the 30-30, like 30 interceptions, 30 touchdowns.
Yeah,
guess what? He did it.
he nailed it,
and now he doesn't have a job.
Yeah,
dude, that's crazy, man.
Chris had a very valid point because Bruce Arians loves guys that are going to take those risks. And Jameis was the perfect guy for his system to take those risks because he took every one of them.
100%. But it's like, I don't know, man. You got two. It's like two people with bad ideas doesn't make them good.
Oh, no, agreed.
Well, I think he likes the idea of them taking a risk. I don't think he likes it all the time, every play, because now you've taken the kamikaze away. If I know you're going to blow yourself up, I just get away from you.
Yeah.
As opposed to, if every eighth one you blow yourself up, then I'm scared to death because you don't know what to expect.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think every throw he's just like, let her rip.
There you
Somebody's
go.
out there, they'll catch it.
Somebody will catch this thing.
Hey, he throws a catchable football. I know that. His balls never hit the ground at all.
No, somebody's going to catch him. It's just this last year, most of the time, it was the other team.
He had more pick sixes than I think if you took Mike Evans' touchdowns away, then every other the other team scored more touchdowns than the combination of like all the other players on his team or something.
Dude, when you throw more interceptions than most starting quarterbacks throw touchdowns.
Yeah.
Dude,
it's a problem.
Insane.
But I'm talking about interceptions that were returned for scores.
Oh my god!
Which makes it even more impressive.
The thing.
Like that guy threw. If you count them all together, he had like 50 touchdowns. Like,
yeah.
That's absurd.
They weren't his.
Exactly. It's like God bless. I did see one stat that had he just thrown half of the interceptions that he did, the Bucs would have won like 11 games last year.
Yes, that's what they're hoping with Tom is Tom can throw 30 touchdowns. We're not worried about that. So I just need somebody who won't throw 30 interceptions.
Yeah, dude, but if I would have been born 6'8" and athletic, I would have been in the NBA.
That's true.
Sit here and talk about what would have happened.
I'm the analytics guy. I got to pay attention to this stuff.
If he wouldn't have thrown 80,000 pick sixes, he would have had a great season.
I mean, if he wasn't so willing to take risks, he may not have had as many touchdowns either. So there ain't no telling.
Yeah, he's afraid to hand off the ball too.
I'm gonna give Mike Evans a lot of the credit for some of those touchdowns.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Many a times he goes up and catches a ball that's not really realistically catchable.
As you should. Yeah.
All right, Zach. Let's go ahead and talk to you.
Maybe he would have been a better quarterback.
I wouldn't doubt that. I mean, he's tall enough. I mean, good gracious.
I want to see Mike Evans start for.
Could you imagine him on the Patriots? I mean, regardless of the quarterback.
Oh my God, that'd be great.
Just ridiculous. All right, Zach, we've kept you for 20 minutes already. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the stuff going on with you. Tell me, what does this pandemic do to a guy that is used to touring basically, at least 9 or 10 months out of the year? I mean, you're always on the road regardless of what else is happening, with any number of different bands.
We had most of this year off anyway, right? Like, so the only thing we had planned was the deep dive thing, which obviously we got to reschedule the whole deal, which was amazing. My home life, as you know, as we're friends, hasn't changed at all. Like, I don't go and do anything. Like, I can't bring my kid to the zoo or the children's museum. That's literally the only thing that's changed about my off time life. Like, we live on a bunch of land and we have a lake, and so it's like, I went swimming 20 minutes before I did this. So it's like, it's my day to day hasn't changed. It's just, I feel for bands that aren't in our positions, and crew guys, and especially bartenders and wait staff, people who can't make their means, and hopefully we figure out something very soon to make that, to help them out. But at the same time, it's one of those things that it's strange, to like not see any bands out on the road. Like it's completely weird, like to not, we go see live shows, like that's something that I do. So the fact that like that no bands are touring, and like all these crew guys that had all this work are now sitting at home, and I think it would be better if like we knew anything about this. Literally
agreed.
Anything.
I agree 100%. What is so? Tell me, like, does this change the way that the music industry looks at? Well, I mean, we're so far down the rabbit hole because you and I have had this conversation so many times. I've been playing music for 18 years now. You much longer than that. The switch from where bands would make money off of their music to you made no money off the music and you only really made it off of touring, this kind of shows like how that gets difficult for artists, right? Like if you can't go on the road, it's really tough to be able to make money. Like you guys are in a great position, but other bands that are not as big as you guys, they're kind of in a tough spot, right?
You mean bands like Trap?
Yes. Something like that.
Yeah. So, I feel bad for some of these bands. Again, like we're in a good position. We can take care of our crew, from where we sit, and I don't have to worry about, lucky enough, man, we've been blessed enough for doing this for so long and having so much radio support and, getting to that kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, arena level, upper echelon level of bands. Like we don't have to worry about money right now, which is great. But at the same time, like, there's bands out there, man, that's not how it is for them. And you know what? I remember being in the bands where it wasn't like that for us either. So I can imagine being in a band like that at this time and worrying about stuff like that, especially, listen, crews around the world, man, these guys, these men and women, they count on these checks, and, bus companies and pyro companies and any company that is their job is literally, built around people gathering together. And that can't happen right now. It's so strange, but I hope for the best. And like I said, if we had any information on any of this, it would be a lot better. But we don't. It's like the blind leading the blind right now, and no one really knows anything. So it's like, is it? We rescheduled for August and September. Is that even going to happen?
That's when I saw your dates, I immediately thought that that might be a little soon. Because Foo Fighters have postponed their entire tour right now. And they're pushing back to November, December. And it's late November. So it's kind of, and we've been talking on the show for the last week or so about will college football happen on time? Will the NFL happen on time? All these different things that are happening in the fall, like months and months away. When exactly will they get back into session? And at that point, what are the crowds going to look like? If you're a band that's used to drawing, 8 to 10,000, once everybody's given the go-ahead, does that immediately drop to 4 to 5,000? It kind of changes up the dynamics of how everything works going forward. And even for us, doing the show, it's like, okay, well, more people are at home right now, so we've got more viewers than we have in quite a while. But, what happens when everybody gets bored, doing this? It's
I think that, I don't know, for us on this deep dive tour that we rescheduled, it was smaller venues anyway.
Yeah.
So, and most of the shows were already sold out. So I don't know, you still may see some empty seats just because people are going to be afraid to go out. I think, this thing is very serious. It's as serious as everyone says, but does the media maybe make the panic part worse? Sure. Because people want to be afraid, I think. And people, they see things and like, oh, you can't do this. It's like, you can do things, just be smart about it. Don't be around other people. Don't touch a bunch of stuff. Wash your hands, take care of yourself. and stay at home, which is right now what we need to do. And I think now tomorrow goes in effect to where us three live.
Yep.
All non-essential businesses are closing. And unless you're a drive-through takeout or a grocery store, everything has to close. Doesn't matter what it is. So I think that'll help slow it down. But at the same time, it's such a stress. I don't know, man. I feel like all these 80s movies are like coming true, like The Running Man and Escape from New York.
That's 100% what this is.
Like all these things are happening. It's very strange.
That you've got buddies that are in the NBA. How does this change things for them? Chris, you and I have talked about this. How do you bring the players back? Not just to play games, because you'll probably do it without fans if you do it at all, but could you imagine the injuries that could happen?
They got to have a workout season. They're going to bring them back, I think, long. I've heard Mark Cuban talking about this several times, about how when they bring them back, these guys have to, first they need to know where they are. He really wants his guys like kind of quarantine together with their families. If you're all tested and you're all clean, then we know we're clean. Let's all stay in the same arena. Let's keep working out. But it's going to take a while to get back into game shape after sitting for months. I mean, that's off season. Hell, the off season is only like 3 or 4 months in the NBA anyway now.
No, you got that right, Zach. Wait, you're buddies with these guys. What are they talking about?
I mean, it's they're even in the off season. These guys look forward to basketball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's I think it's the curbing the boredom that occurs. But most of the guys I know now, my closest NBA friends, Mike, Mark, have kids, so they're enjoying this time, I guess. That normally they wouldn't be able to do certain things. Granted, they still can't go and do things, but I'm sure they're enjoying being with their families. But it's curbing the boredom, man. It's one of those things that these guys, they live for basketball and they want to do all these things. And right now, this is the time that they do it, and they can't do it. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's such a strange time. Again, it's so strange. And you watch these dudes, and they like, somebody like LeBron who lives for basketball. It's strange to watch them. But I agree with Chris. Like, you can't just go out and like, okay, season's back on, game tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that's every torn ligament and hamstring, and granted, these guys are working out in their homes. I'm sure most of them who can afford to.
Matt is watching live on YouTube, and he jumped in. He's a physical therapist. He said tissue has to adapt to the load required of them. They take time off, and then trying to jump right back in, the tissue can fail. So that's where this is a problem.
Attaboy.
Yeah, I got 2 trainer buddies. So one is the head trainer of the Milwaukee Bucks, who obviously has Giannis and people like that. Yeah. And the other is the head trainer for the 76ers. So it's interesting to see. I've talked to them about it, and they're like, man, it's just strange. These guys are texting me things to do to keep limber and to keep their muscles warm. It's like you said, you're basically going into an off season right when the pickup time was, right when it was starting to get heavy.
Right when everybody's making that playoff push. I mean, you're talking, we were getting to a point where there was no more load management. If you're a star and your team is in competition for a playoff, you're playing every night and you're playing balls out. There are no days off at that point. And we just hit the brakes and said, nope, we're stopping. We're turning the engine completely off and we're all going away. It's hard to do.
And it's very hard to do. And luckily, though, we did it because you see now, I think it's up to almost 10 players have been diagnosed with this thing. But at the same time, you watch this thing, and selfishly as a Grizzlies fan, I'm like, oh, we're in the 8th spot. Come on.
I know.
We think the same thing.
Every team is 4 games behind us.
A young stud that just is changing the fortune of the Grizzlies, and now I can't watch it. I spend half of my time on Twitter just watching Jai highlights. That's it. That's all I do.
All right, so Zach, with the Grizzly stuff, as a season ticket holder, what have you heard anything? I mean, what do they end up doing in a situation like this where you don't get to go to the games? I mean, how does that even work?
Yeah, they basically they're waiting to hear from the NBA. So once they hear from the NBA, they'll let us know what they're going to do. You know what I mean? So I've already renewed, obviously, for the next season, but it's like at the same time, I don't know if they're going to take my tickets off for next year. I don't know if they're just going to, like, my playoff tickets will be free because I've already paid for this whole season. It's, again, man, I can't imagine, like, I can imagine being in some of these positions that some of these people are in, and you're just getting it from all sides because you don't really know what's happening. You don't know how to answer people. Like, how do you know anything? Like, my ticket guy doesn't work for the NBA; he works for the Grizzlies. Like, he doesn't know what's happening. So it's very strange. I'm interested to see how the NBA handles that, how they're going to do the ticketing system. I'd imagine they just probably take off whatever games you didn't go to this year. They just take that off your bill next year.
Yeah, kind of give it as a credit, right?
Yeah, it's like a credit. So the best thing was, a couple years ago when we tanked on purpose, obviously, the next season they gave us all FedEx Forum dollars. They literally gave us like $5,000 in FedEx Forum money. So it was like, dude, my kid was loving it. You get popcorn and Sprite every game, and you didn't have to pay $15 for it. It's like you had like a Monopoly money book full of Grizzlies dollars that you could just use. Like, hey, sorry, we sucked last year.
That's pretty awesome.
Free money.
I'll tell you this, that makes me feel really good that they did that, though. Like,
It's great.
I'm actually really proud of that because for a decade, Philly did this thing. And I don't know that we got no reports from anybody ever that they did anything for their fans. They're just like, we're going to suck, guys. Sorry. We're openly trying to lose. Sorry.
Trust the process, man.
And I don't know that they ever did anything to compensate the fans that showed up for that garbage.
Perez a really good owner. And
that makes me real proud.
Yeah, Wexler's really good about that kind of thing. He wants to keep fan engagement. And you know what? Nothing says fan engagement like free cotton candy. So,
oh no, free crap for your kids. I'm telling you, the reason I spend thousands of dollars taking my kids to Disney World all the time is people who make a big deal about your kids. Listen, you don't have to give me anything. You make my kid feel like a superstar, and I'll spend twice what you realistically think I would spend. I promise you.
Yeah, that's kind of how most decent parents are. I think nowadays there's a bunch of garbage.
Oh no, and I'm very much in that decent parent range. I assure you.
No, your kids come first, and that's what you got to do, man. It's especially
not great. Not great. I'm
you're selling yourself short.
I don't beat them, and I'm here. But
there you go.
That's all that matters, dude. You're doing better than most people.
All right, we are 32 and a half minutes in, so Zach, I'm going to let you out of here. Unless there's anything else that we need to hit on. Anybody got topics we need to hit?
I don't think so. I just need you to teach me how to podcast. That's it.
I can handle that. We can roll through that. Just give me a call this evening. We'll figure it out.
All right, sweet, y'all.
Be good, brother. Everybody knows winningcureseverything.com, tunicatravel.com. Go subscribe to the show. Go check out Tunica. And go check out Zach's band, Shinedown. Shinedown.com is the website. You can find him on Twitter at ZMyersOfficial. We will see you guys again tomorrow.
Later.
Thanks for checking out Winning Cures Everything. If you want to keep up with us, hit subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Visit the website at winningcureseverything.com, or you can like us on Facebook or follow us at Winning Cures, at Gary WCE, or at Chris B. Giannini on Twitter. Share out the show, leave a nice review, and make sure to comment and tweet at us.